That's terrible. I forgot to unmute myself. Hello, 7 people, including me and Melissa and Kelly and Deanna. You guys, thank you for making it back here. We're just gonna kind of chill out. I don't want to start showing stuff until a few more people get in here. Um, so there were a few things with Nancy Guthrie that I saw this morning, and I believe the one live stream that not it might have been a video actually, come to think of it. Let me just look real quick. Was actually this morning as well, so fairly new. I don't know if there's any kind of corroboration to the video that we're going to watch, but it is a or former law enforcement who has a source close to the case. Um, do we all remember Joseph Morgan? He has a YouTube channel. I believe I should have a banner somewhere. Do I? I don't, but I will put a little banner up to give. He's actually already in my description. Oh, how do I do this? Share. Joseph Morris. Let me put him in here. Just a sec. It's very interesting information and kind of troubling. But important, I think, to talk about. And also, Savannah, Annie, and Tommaso made it out to the memorial out front of Nancy's house, so we're gonna watch that. And yeah, so we're just gonna talk for a little bit, show some stuff. Have you seen any of this stuff that I'm talking about today, Melissa?
No, I left there Saturday to go to my brother, so I haven't seen anything since Friday night.
So, I mean, more of the same. We had not even just law enforcement. Let me pull up a picture for you. We had what looked like law enforcement show up there, but also prosecutors show up there. Here's a picture. They kind of went through and toured, and Brian Enton had said that it seemed to him as though they were getting ready to turn the house back over to the family, and they were just doing like a last look, making sure they didn't miss anything, but then also having prosecutors there, which I understand if they're going to turn the home back over to the family if there's a prosecution in the case. Um, they generally like to have seen the crime scene itself. So that's probably what this is. And you can see they're totally covering their mouths so no lip readers or anything can see what they're saying. But they definitely look official-ish, esque, official-esque. And yeah, totally interesting. But that's enough of the jibber jabber. Might as well just start it. So here is the video. Brian Enton posted it this morning of we can see Nancy and Tommaso, Annie heading in to have a look at the memorial where everybody's leaving flowers and notes and stuff for Nancy out front of her house. There is law enforcement, and I believe this here would be more than likely security for Savannah. But I want to watch this, and then we'll talk about it. Oh, let me get it bigger. Can I do that? That's as big as it gets? What? Oh well. Oh well. We're gonna watch it, and then we'll talk about it. So there has been a lot of talk about Annie and Tommaso potentially being involved in some way, shape, or form. So what I would like to know from anybody with an opinion, um, what do you think now after seeing this video? I mean, it's clear that Annie is distraught. Tommaso seems supportive. What are your thoughts? I know it is heartbreaking. It's always heartbreaking to see such raw emotion from families in cases like this. But because of the speculation, does this change anything for you guys? Melissa, what do you think?
So, I mean, I've always said since the beginning I thought this was some type of inside job, but that wasn't necessarily limited to the family. Maybe somebody that works for, but I can see in this video that Tommaso definitely seems supportive of both Savannah and Annie. And this is going to come out wrong, but I don't really know how to say it. I feel like Annie is showing, even though we just see the back of her, you can tell by her body language and the way that they're hugging her and stuff like that. She definitely seems to be showing more emotion in this video compared to the other ones. And that, I mean, it breaks my heart to see this, obviously, but it also puts my mind at ease as to whether or not I think she had something to do with it, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. In one of my observations, and I'll see if I did have a clearer picture, but guys, like his beard doesn't match what was under that balaclava. The little line that we saw there, his beard is very much graying, and I don't think, I don't know. I don't think it matches. It's a little clearer. Just give me a sec. I'll bring it up. Um, it's just not, I don't think it's the same guy. I don't think it's the same guy.
I have to
I
agree
have
with you
to
there.
agree with you there. It's just a screenshot of the same. But I mean, can you, I don't know. Can you see that? Not very well. Can I, can't. Can't zoom in on it because I shared the image and I didn't open it. So for me, he's not the guy. He's not the guy at the door. Um, I think I heard or I read somewhere that Savannah is 5'10", so looks like he's maybe 5'8" to 5'9". Um, let's watch his gait when he walks. Let me take that down and put this back up. It's still playing. We can watch his gait when he walks, maybe. Um, I don't know. It doesn't seem like he has an issue with his knees or the observations that were made about the man in the mask. I don't think so. I don't think this is the same guy. Now, does that mean, and whatever, does that mean that he or they or somebody couldn't have helped orchestrate something? Doesn't mean that at all. It's quite possible, but it looks to me like Savannah is very supportive of Annie and Tommaso, both. And regardless, it's heartbreaking. This is their mother that is missing, and to see the outpouring of support and love for their mother is probably pretty emotional no matter what. Yeah, we did a Jack and Lily live right before this. Ernestine, thanks for being here. They are definitely all leaning on each other. So, yeah, it's a little, I mean, there's information to glean from this. Like I said, I think this solidifies for me that the man with the balaclava is not Tommaso. I don't think there's any question left in my mind that that fella at the door that night is not Tommaso. That's just that's just my thoughts. That's just what I think. But then the other thing that I wanted to show, and I think this one is going to promote much more conversation than that touching video, is going to be this one. Again, Joseph Morris, this fella here, Where are we? Share my screen. Remember my audio. Now this video is a mere 13 minutes long. I may stop in between it, but before we play it, can we just run over real quick and give Joseph a follow? Just search him out, Joseph Morris. Give him a sub. Uh, he covers this case and many others. He covered Jack and Lily's case too. Uh, you know, it's important. So I'm going to turn my volume up and then we're going to watch this and like hold on to your butts. Some of this information is new for me. And if you haven't seen this, it's probably going to be new for you. So we're going to talk about it. Remember, all of this, as far as I'm aware, is alleged speculation based on a source close to the investigation. Okay. So let's watch.
Breaking news in the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. A former investigator has shared fresh details from a trusted source about what was reportedly found inside the home, including missing bed sheets, night clothes, and possible male bodily fluids. This could shift how we view the very first hours of the case if those details hold up. So I'm Joseph Morris, and don't forget to like and subscribe. So here's the major update straight from former Kentucky investigator Chris Roach, who has decades of experience in missing persons investigations. It's important to note right up front, no one has been charged in this case. Law enforcement has not named any suspects, and these details come from unverified claims by Chris's source. And of course, Sheriff Nanos has publicly stated that all family members and their spouses have been cleared. Chris revealed this from his source, and here's exactly what he said in the interview.
And then the word I'm getting now is I am being told that her bed sheets are missing and her bed clothing, which she normally goes to bed in, is missing.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Bed
that's
sheets
the link.
missing?
The bed sheets were missing, and there was blood found in the bed, along with perhaps some semen. Don't quote me on
Wow,
this.
no fucking way.
This is my source. He's solid as can be. He's not been wrong yet. Don't quote me on that exactly, but that is what I'm hearing.
So that's a pretty startling detail from someone Chris trusts and says has been solid so far. So if the source's claims are accurate, the missing bed sheets and nightclothes, plus blood and possible male bodily fluids in the bed, would suggest something may have happened right where Nancy was sleeping before she was taken. Chris made clear he's not quoting his source word for word on the fluids part, but if confirmed, the information could raise serious questions about what went on inside that bedroom. Now let's walk through the timeline of that weekend, because the speed of everything is raising some real questions. Nancy was last seen Saturday night, January 31st, after taking an Uber to her daughter Annie Guthrie and son-in-law Tommaso Sione's house for dinner. Tommaso drove her home, waited about 2 minutes, watched her go safely inside through the garage, and then left. The next morning, Sunday, February 1st, Nancy didn't show up for her regular online church meeting. Someone from the family went straight to the house, checked on her, and reported her missing to 911 that same afternoon. The missing person report was filed almost immediately. And here's what Chris Roach said about how that initial report went down.
Mrs. Guthrie, didn't show up on the church, whatever group she was meeting. They called the family, and then the family magically walked into the house, and they said, "Well, we didn't seem to see anything. We got a missing person, right?" Like, so you would have noticed something at a place. You would have noticed that blood on the front
Right.
of the door. You would have saw.
What do you think of that, Melissa? Like, let alone um the bed sheets missing and the bodily fluids potentially found. But if the family went to check on her and they said there was nothing out of place, did they not see the blood and the shrubs out front? What do you think of that? That's a good point, and I'm surprised none of us have said it yet.
Well, I feel like they would have had to have, right? I mean, unless they didn't go to the front door and they went in, through the garage or a back door. But even if they went in through the garage or a back door, if they went into the home, if what he is saying, and I say if it's true, then they would have noticed that, oh wait, mom's bed sheets aren't here, or there's blood, or I feel like they would have seen it whether it was inside the house or out on the front porch, because it was very noticeable to the naked eye. It's not like it was just a little bit. So I don't know, but I mean, if there's blood and bodily fluids, we'll say the YouTube words SA'd? I mean, was she raped? I mean,
I think that's the implication, and I mean, how disturbing, but I mean, how did because that's what we've heard, right? The family went, they were called by a member of her church congregation because she didn't show up to the regular live stream that happened on Sundays. So the family went over to check on them. So even if, like, I don't know the layout of the driveway, I heard that there's the the horseshoe driveway, but then I've heard that there's a side driveway. So would they have gone up the side driveway and then gone to the back door automatically and didn't see the front at all? Because I saw the shrubbery from just videos and stuff, so you would think if they were there and if he was there the night before, he would have known that wasn't there before. So why wouldn't they walk up and see that? I don't know. But, and then like going into the house and seeing that bed sheets were missing, even if they didn't notice the blood, that would be that would be odd. So that's weird. Let's continue because it gets a little weirder.
So as you can see, the former investigator pointed out how odd it is that the family walked in, said nothing seemed out of place, and yet we all saw the blood droplets on the front door and the scattered flowers in the public photos. If that account is accurate, it makes the early moments of the case confusing and suggests something more may have been at play. Journalist Ashley Banfield reported early on that investigators were reportedly eyeing the son-in-law as a person of interest at one point, even if not officially named at the time. Journalist Brianna Whitney has also reported that the CRV belonging to Nancy's daughter and son in law is still being held as evidence weeks later. Normally, once someone is cleared, their vehicle gets released quickly. So, if it remains impounded, authorities would need to confirm why. Public records show another interesting timeline. Nancy Guthrie's home was listed for sale in October 2024, but quickly pulled off the market. Then in March 2025, Nancy's daughter and son in law bought a $650,000 home just 2 miles away. They both had been reportedly helping as caregivers, so some wondered if Nancy was planning to sell and move in with them. But if the plans changed, authorities would need to confirm what happened. So here's where the personal side gets even more interesting. Archive video from the Wayback Machine show Nancy's daughter in her backyard engage in some esoteric activities. Her book, The Good Dark, published by Tupelo Press, explores New Age and occult themes, including oracular writing, self erasure, and blurred lines between God and nature as God. Her public About Me page once described her as a writer and jeweler offering manuscript consultations and private sessions in that expansive methodology. Her online profiles also list her as an author focused on oracular writing and the good dark, with interests that many online observers note lean toward non Christian spiritualities. Nancy, however, was a devout Christian. Despite the sheriff's repeated statements clearing the family, if these differences in worldview created real tension, Authorities would need to confirm whether that played any role. Here's what Chris Roach had to say when he was asked about his theory.
I guess I could have three theories. I guess I'm still throwing the Tommaso Annie theory out there because I'm still sticking with it. People want to discard that, but that is still on the table for me. I think absolutely there could have been some type of discussion. We really don't know if Nancy really made it home that night. I think there could have been a discussion she was going to change her will.
So I am not suggesting, implying, or accusing any cleared family member of involvement. These are just public theory discussions. But here's another TikTok going viral from an influencer.
To me, Savannah Guthrie looked like she already knows her mom is dead. So what if the police have said to her, they pulled her and maybe her husband aside and said, we found out that this is your sister and brother-in-law, and we think that your mom may be dead, but we can't catch her if you let on to the fact that they're involved. So pretend like everything's normal. Pretend to love on your sister and your brother-in-law, and let's just go forth. And so like do these things, the press conference. So she has to sit there knowing that the people are sitting right next to her who may have done this. Like something is missing that we don't know. And I'm not talking about it is a press conference and the FBI and the officers have to not tell the public certain things. I understand that. This is something different. And again, I don't know if it's that poor Nancy is already deceased or that Savannah Guthrie has been told something about her family or something else. But there is a big missing detail to this that none of us know. And why is it that Ashley Banfield has said, and she's this famed reporter, like staked her reputation on this and doubled down on this, that Tommaso, the brother-in-law, was the only sort of person of interest, and no one else is saying this.
Now, here's where it gets even more intriguing. New surveillance footage surfaced showing a white Kia Soul driving past a nearby camera about 8 minutes after Nancy's pacemaker disconnected, which is significant since the home is 7 minutes away. The vehicle appears heading toward the area around 12:46 a.m. and then leaving again at 2:36 a.m., lining up with the abduction window almost perfectly. The feds told TMZ it was a dead end, but if that dismissal is premature, online sleuths just aren't convinced. One observer noted that the quick dismissal of vehicles outside the 2-mile radius could mean investigators are already focused on a specific lead and person of interest. Random kidnappings for ransom are extremely rare in the United States. According to FBI data, they make up less than 1% of all abductions, with the vast majority involving people known to the victim. Again, to be very clear, Sheriff Nanos has officially cleared every member of the Guthrie family and their spouses. No one has been charged, and these are simply my thoughts based on publicly available information. So in my opinion, drawing only from the public details, Chris Roach's interview, and the patterns we've seen reported, one scenario that keeps coming up in discussions is that this could have started as a planned kidnapping for ransom by someone who knew every detail of the house and Nancy's routine. The goal might have been to take her quickly, hold her, and demand payment, which would explain why several ransom notes appeared early on. Most were obvious hoaxes, but if at least one was legitimate, things may have gone sideways. So here's how the pieces could fit together based on what's out there. First,
That is kind of what I think. That's where I'm leaning, that it was a legitimate attempt at a ransom and something bad happened to Nancy and it took them some time to decide to go forward with the ransom demand. There's other than it being a complete hoax, there's no other reason why a kidnapper would not give proof of life. Do you know what I mean? Like, what do you think, Melissa?
So I don't know about the ransom. I think this is where you and I might differ. I don't think, in my opinion, right now, I'm not convinced that any of the ransoms notes were legit, just simply because no proof of life was shown. That may change, but I think law enforcement saying that vehicle wasn't significant, Unless they've spoken with the person who was driving that vehicle, I think it's a little premature for them to say it's not significant because it does line up with the timeline. And I I disagree with that TikTok I, person. I don't think that law enforcement told Savannah, "Hey, we think it's, your brother-in-law and sister." I don't see that, but I mean, I guess anything's possible, but I don't I've never thought that the person at the front door was Tommaso. I didn't see it. I know people were trying to line it up, but it just didn't line up correctly. That's just, I don't know. I don't think that it was necessarily immediate family, but I'm not convinced that it's not, somebody still connected some way.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's continue. Joseph now is going to explain his reasoning. So, and I found it interesting. So,
I think it's really important we learn more about this Uber ride over to Annie's to not only verify if it happened, but to see if Nancy was in any sort of distress. On the night she disappeared, if Nancy was taken directly from her bed, the person would have known her nightly habits hold. They disabled the Ring doorbell camera at 1:47 a.m., likely with the help from an accomplice standing in the doorway. You can clearly see an extra light source in the footage coming from the right side that doesn't belong to the main masked figure. It looks like someone was guiding the intruder exactly where to reach, which, if accurate, points to intimate knowledge of the property. Once inside, if a confrontation happened right in the bedroom, it would have left blood behind in the bed itself, suggesting Nancy was struck or overpowered while still in bed. The perpetrators may have grabbed the bed sheets and nightclothes because they held critical evidence they needed to remove. Nancy was then carried out. The blood drops fell straight down vertically instead of spraying or smearing, and there's a noticeable pool right at the front doorway. That suggests she was being held there for a few moments while the team finished disabling the camera, with one person steadying her and the other working. The 41 minutes they spent inside gave them plenty of time to stage the scene, wrap her, and exit cleanly without theft. Her wallet, phone, and hearing aids were all left untouched. So why the backpack? Chris Roach believes they could have used a tarp to avoid a huge mess and make the kidnapping clean. I even have a hunch about the masked person in the footage. He or she is wearing a toque, but it looks like there could be another mask underneath, and the beard and mustache might be part of a quick disguise. The eyes and overall structure strike me as possibly feminine, though that's just my personal observation. It's also worth noting something interesting from Savannah Guthrie's own book, Mostly What God Does, released in February 2024. She described a family tradition where her cousins would stage playful kidnappings of the kids during summer visits in Tucson. Nancy Guthrie would play along as the worried mom. The source says, quote, about once a year in the summertime, cousin Terry orchestrated a kidnapping of my sister and me. It went down like this. The cousins would visit for a few days at our house in Tucson, and then on the morning they were to leave, Terry would wake us up early, shushing us in the pre dawn darkness as we made our escape. We would all pile into her rickety station wagon and head north, the sky streaking with bright oranges and pinks as the sun rose over the colorless desert landscape. So, if that childhood game is accurate, it shows familiarity with the idea of staged abductions, which could make the real ransom plan feel less random. The methodical planning, I mean, knowing the camera location, the 41-minute window, the accomplice light, the quick exit, would all point to someone who knew Nancy's home and schedule well. So whether the plan was always to release her or something went wrong in those 41 minutes, the details, if confirmed, make it feel like it wasn't a random crime. These public facts keep pointing towards someone with deep familiarity, and that's what keeps this case so compelling. Drop your theories or gut instincts in the comments.
so like, I mean, I don't know about all that, but I mean, it's interesting, anyways. Um, totally. Why not even ask? Like, if it's true, that her bed was unmade or her bed sheets were missing, why didn't they even ask? Or or did they? We don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they did. Thanks everybody for being here, by the way. There is a video of investigators talking or taking out what looked like bedding in a big bag coming out of the house. Okay, maybe. I can't go search Dolly's stuff right now. Did the FBI clear the family? FBI hasn't said anything like that. And in fact, I believe Sheriff Nanos now has said that nobody's been cleared again. He said nobody's been cleared. Then he came out and said that the Guthrie family, including spouses, have been cleared. And then recently he came back out and said nobody's been cleared. But the FBI haven't made a statement at all. Young lady, you sure. Thank you for this talk tonight. Thank you so much for being here. It is to think about an 84-year-old woman, no matter what happened, how terrified she must have been in that moment. Was the foliage on the blood spots? I believe there were a couple of leaves over top of a couple of the blood spots. I will find it while Melissa gives her opinion here right away. What troubles me, I believe in the note that the stations got in Arizona, the one indicating that the guy had seen her at somebody's house, it bothers me that the FBI didn't follow up on that. They should be following up on everything. And from what I've heard, that's why the sheriff discouraged Nancy from putting out a huge reward at the beginning because of the the tips that it would generate. A lot of them would be, I don't want to call them useless, but you know what I mean. They wouldn't be good leads. Um, so you would think that they would follow up on something like that. Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm gonna go and look for Brian's video on the when he first spotted that blood, and you can give your thoughts, Melissa.
So I agree that whoever did this knew Nancy's schedule because they would have known, you know, I don't know really how to explain it, but my gut, I guess. I feel like whoever did this knew Nancy's schedule. But I also think that Sheriff Nanos is extremely wish-washy. He says one thing and then later on says something that's totally different, like the family's cleared to nobody's cleared. And correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it said that one of the ransom notes or one of the notes in the beginning had details from inside the home that only somebody who had been there basically would know? Like, if that was that bed sheets were missing, is that something they were holding back? And if they were holding it back, then it was really careless of this guy to go out and say it. I don't. This case I don't know how to feel about it. I still feel like it was somebody who knew the family in some way.
It seems like whoever it was had a familiarity with the property, at the very least, if not the house. So, I mean, I agree with you. But the Google searches, the summer before looking for Savannah's net worth and Nancy's home address, and then again, a search done, I believe, on January 11th, looking again for Nancy's residence is interesting. And then follow that up with their request for any ring camera footage, any surveillance footage from January 11th. Well, the first to the January 11th was specifically asked for. But then they expanded it for I believe, the entire month of January. But all of that together seemed like somebody was Googling, this family, this location. But we watched that masked man approach the door, and you can see him lean over to kind of look inside the window like he had been there before, like he was just looking to see if, whatever he normally would see inside the door. But I've got this video here now, and I can try to pause it at just the right time to have a look at that foliage and the blood drops. So let's do that now. And I see Melissa's also got something she wants to pull up. So let's look at this first. So that to me looks like um this is a piece of foliage, but that is definitely blood underneath it, if I'm not mistaken. And then again here, and then again here. And I believe that's it. I believe that's it for the shrubbery or foliage or whatever to be on top of the blood droplets. So what is it that you had, Melissa? Is it this? What are we looking at here?
Okay, so you had said something about the horseshoe driveway, which you can see here where this white truck is. You can see the horseshoe driveway, but then it also has this side drive here that goes into her garage. So you pull in here and you can go into the horseshoe driveway, or you can come around and go into the garage. So I just wanted to, where you had talked about the driveway, that was just showing a halfway decent picture of the layout there, of aerial view of the driveway. And something I just thought of, where is Nancy's dog? That black poodle. Was it in the home? Was it hurt in any way? Was it locked in a room? I haven't heard anybody mention anything about where this dog is or anything like that. Do we know?
I haven't heard a peep about the dog, actually. I'll Google it, see if there's anything out there.
Well, while you're Googling that, I did want to say, with somebody Googling the family, that tells me that it was possibly premeditated, planned out. So, I mean, I don't know.
Her dog was poisoned in December. That is, are you, what? Did they find out who did that? I wonder if that would be connected. I wonder if that would be connected, you guys.
But do we know that for a fact?
I'm looking. She reported missing from her Tucson, Arizona home February 1st. Did not have a dog, according to Hindustan Times. The dog seen in the photos associated with the investigation is actually Fetch, a black Aussie doodle belonging to Savannah Guthrie's family, which was introduced in their 2024 holiday card. So I guess she didn't have a dog. It was Savannah's dog. Where can you just maybe post a link for Melissa where you got that information from? Because my Google machine is saying that the dog was it belonged to Savannah's family. So crazy, horrifying. If that's true, get rid of a dog? How terrible is that? How terrible is that? Oh, this
Well,
case
that
just
would
keeps
explain
getting.
why we don't hear anything about it.
Oh, 'cause she didn't have one, or that it died?
Either or.
Wow. Wow. So, and then another thing about this photo here is, okay, so this makes sense to me. You drive into the driveway to the garage, and Nancy would enter that way. Shorter distance for her to go than to have to walk up the walk from the horseshoe driveway. Where's the back door? So the green door there, like right on the back of the house, is probably a door leading into the garage, obviously. But is that the door that was found ajar, or was it under this kind of um it's not a overhang, but this, I don't know. Right here is like the covered balcony or covered porch area. Um must have been. But which way would Annie and Tommaso gone in to check on their mom? Probably the same way, through the garage, right? I would think. I would think.
Okay, so she Ubers to Annie and Tommaso's, and then Tommaso drives her home, and the garage door opens. So if that's the case, either Nancy had to have a garage door opener, or Tommaso had a garage door opener for her garage because she didn't take her car. So if Tommaso had a garage door opener, then I would assume that they would have entered through the garage, but I don't think they went in through the front because they would have seen the blood. So they would have either, in my opinion, had to go through the back door, which I agree is kind of in by this grassy area over in that little covered porch area, or they went in through the garage, because if they would have went in through the front, they would have seen the blood. You can't miss it. I mean, it's not something that you just, oops, didn't see it.
I'm just looking and there's no updates. It's it's sad to see like no updates. And we know that everybody was asked to leave the neighborhood, like no more parking in the neighborhood. So anybody that is there has to kind of hike in. And Brian Enton said that most of the media is gone now. Totally different scene at night. There's no light anymore, and they've got that night pollution ordinance where there's no street lights or anything. So when Brian Enton does his nighttime updates, it is dark, like dark, dark. And that just goes to show you there are no media lights or much coverage going on there now. Um,
But why would they
very
need to be there?
media?
Yeah, there's nothing. Okay, I understand media being there, the first couple of weeks, but there's nothing really, in my opinion, new that they're going to glean from camping out in front of her house, in my opinion. But so, I mean, why would they need to be there? And maybe the sheriff's way of telling them to politely leave was putting, you can't park your cars here anymore. But I just don't see what camping out in front of her house is going to do. Honestly.
Fair. I mean, that's fair enough. But I mean, let's have a look right now just to show you what we're looking at here when it comes to YouTubers. I didn't hear it from JLR, but I heard that he has extended his stay for a week. I know that Brian Enton has said that he's not going anywhere, basically. And, you know, they're thinking that a lot of people are saying that the case is going cold. But if we remember, we all thought that the Idaho 4 case was going cold, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, enter Brian Koberger and charges all the way across the country. So, but this is literally what JLR is doing right now. He has found um, where the bomb squad vehicles park. So there's nothing going on. There's no activity. So this is where JLR decides to park, and then that's gone live. Let's see what they're up to. They're not live right now. They're not doing any coverage. And then Mark the Shark. I believe he's live, but nope, he's not live either. So literally, you guys, like the coverage is slowly dying off. What do we? It says he's live. What the heck, Mark? What's going on? Okay, so he's driving around. It's something, but there's when there's no updates, it's hard to. So Nancy Guthrie's family visits tribute outside her home as sheriff says investigators are getting closer. When did he say that? More than a month into the search for Nancy Guthrie, officials continue to chase thousands of leads as her family leans on the love and prayers from their Arizona community and beyond. I think the investigators are definitely closer, Pima County Sheriff Chris Nano said in an interview Monday about the progress of the case. I've said this from the beginning. I have faith, full confidence they're going to solve this. There have been thousands of leads since Guthrie 84, the mother of Today co-anchor Savannah Guthrie, disappeared. Then we just kind of go through a little bit of the timeline. Yeah. What's this? I just shared 2 interviews in the chat with Luke Daly and his mom. Okay. Let me grab those. But it's sad to see that it's definitely seems to be cooling off the case. So Melissa, I know that you do not have co-host with this channel that you're operating now, which is unfortunate. But I'm going to play this interview because it is interesting. Why is this not working? Why is this not working? Here we go. Got it. Don't worry. It's interesting. Luke Daly sits down and agreed to be interviewed. So let's watch this for a few minutes. And we'll talk about it.
Are the person on the surveillance video, the abductor, the masked person. Is that you?
It's not me. I don't see the resemblance of it looking like me. But absolutely not. I have nothing to do with this case.
Nothing to do with it. Do Do you have any idea who is involved in the abduction?
I don't. If I did, I would happily tell FBI, police, anything. I mean, I, like everyone else, just want Nancy to come home and be safe. But that being said, I have nothing to do with this case, and that's it.
Explain to me what happened on the night you were detained, where you're with your car. How did that unfold in your eyes?
So I was driving home. I noticed two sheriff vehicles following me. They pulled me over at the Culvers right there. Asked me to get out of the car. Didn't tell me what it was about. So they had me cuffed in the back of a cop car, detained. I was asking like, what am I being detained for? And they wouldn't tell me anything. They just said that or detectives would be there to talk to me. And once I saw like FBI and all the other cars start pulling in, I'm like, oh, this is probably about the Guthrie case. I'm like, this should be easy. Like, I have nothing to do with this, so it should be not a big deal to clear my name and move on. But the whole time during the questioning, it didn't really seem like more of like a fishing expedition for them to try to get me to say something, because all the dates I was telling them where I was, um, things like that. I'm like, all you'd have to do is look at my phone and see my location. I like, it was nowhere near anywhere or have any connection to this. Um, but still, it was tough, like being there. Like, I mean, I don't trust the FBI to the extent that I'm like thinking that there's pressure on this case and they want to find the person. So like the whole time while I'm sitting in the back of the cop car, I'm like panicking, thinking that I'm gonna be framed for this, or they're trying to pin this on me somehow.
Did they tell you what led them to you? I mean, something made them believe they needed to talk to you about it. What was that?
I asked them. They didn't tell me any information about that. And I have thought of any type of reason why they could have come after me. Um, but there's nothing, and I think that's why they didn't tell me.
Were you in the area of the home at the time, like the overnight, or would it have been something like, we've tracked this person near the
Well,
abduction
I
scene?
live near her house, but I mean, I didn't even know that until after the fact. Like barely just learned where her actual house was in relation to mine. So I didn't even know.
Had you ever met her?
No,
Did you know who she was?
I knew who she was because my mother was following the case. But in terms of other than that, I would just go off what my mother was telling me.
And so how long were you detained for?
Um, Probably maybe 4 or 5 hours.
In the back of that car the whole
Mhm.
time? And they searched your Range Rover extensively?
Yeah, they searched Range Rover. They towed my Range Rover. Uh, did all DNA testing or whatever, and then gave it back to me. Um, Took my cell phone. I've had no way to get a hold of anyone, which is probably a good thing because everyone's looking at me like I'm this person that I'm not. Um, so it's been rough.
You got your car back
Yes.
in rough condition, or was it okay?
Well, when I went to pick it up, like it wouldn't start. I guess they drained the battery down, and it was just covered in the whatever white substance that they use for testing. Um, but yeah, then I got it started up, and it wasn't. Uh, Luckily, it wasn't damaged in terms of like repairs or anything. But
So when they released you, what did they say? They say you're free? Do they say never mind? I mean, what was the verbiage there from them?
um, they had just told me that they were still at my house, so I couldn't go home. But they drove me somewhere near the house and just dropped me off. I was like, well, I don't have a phone. How am I supposed to figure out when I can go back to the house? They basically said you're just gonna have to figure that out. So, I mean, I waited just where they dropped me off at for maybe an hour or so. I had a friend that lived near the area, and I walked over there. They weren't home, so I was just waiting, like basically just on their patio. And then it got to the point where I'm like, well, they should be done by now. I walked back to my house, and this was like the worst part for me, is getting there and seeing the house torn up. But the worst part was my mom not being there, and her being elderly and having AFib and things like that. I'm thinking the worst. Like, I see her cars here, but she's not there, and I don't have my phone to get a hold of her. So I'm wondering what happened, if I need to start calling hospitals, or what the deal was. But luckily, I guess she went to one of the neighbors, but I didn't find that out until the next day.
Right. You were detained and released, but you've said it, your face, your name, it's everywhere online. People still believe you were either involved or did this. What's that been like for you to have your name, your picture, even a past mugshot all over the internet associated with this case?
I mean, for me, it's terrible. I It's hard to go anywhere, and the hard part is they're making all these assumptions based on things that have absolutely no relevance, and they're just bringing up my past, which I mean, I do have a past, but nothing violent or anything like that. All my past has been involved with using drugs, and I haven't been in that life for over 2 years now. Um, so all the things that they're bringing up, yeah, I guess it's public record, but it would have came out if it wasn't for all these people speculating and doing things like that. So now people that had no idea about my past, so I've done like a good job of working past it and not having anything to do with it. So them doing that now is kind of just reopening this whole speculation, and uh make me out to look like this bad person, which I'm not.
And it's not just been you. People have found, records of an alleged girlfriend of yours. There's been a lot of rumors swirling around. What do you want to say about those rumors, about you, about her, about, everybody that people have looked at and said, well, they could do this.
Yeah, first of all, that's not my girlfriend. I barely knew that girl, and I was arrested with her on a completely different circumstance over a year ago. I haven't talked to her since, and I guess they're just going off of the arrest, saying that I was arrested with her. So, but I hardly know her and don't associate with her. Um, but in terms of everything else, I mean, all the speculation is just going off of, I don't even know if people really believe it, but online it just seems like they're pushing this narrative and trying to make connections with things that are um I don't know, basically like circumstantial, like saying my eyelashes match the guy in the ski mask picture, which I'm sure, like, if you could use anyone's picture and find similarities. Um,
And you don't recognize the person in that footage.
no, I don't. Um, but in terms of all this, like I said, they're comparing my face to this. They're talking about my Range Rover, which I didn't even buy until after she was reported missing.
It was a new car, yeah,
Yeah.
for you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, they're talking about another car that was towed off my property. That car wasn't an accident, has nothing to do with this. It wasn't towed in relation to this case. It was being towed by the insurance company to assume if it was totaled or not. So that had nothing to do with the case. There's no evidence to point towards me other than speculation.
You really have no idea what led them to you in this case.
Absolutely not.
Still a mystery to you.
Yes, and I would love to find out.
Were you dealing mostly with sheriff's deputies or FBI agents when you were detained?
When I was detained by the sheriffs, but in terms of all the questioning was done by the FBI.
What would you like to say to both PCSD and the FBI?
Um, Basically what I told him before, if there's anything, I'm happy to help. If there actually was something real that I could help them with, but um, like I said, they have my phone. They went through my phone, so I mean, if it was anything real, they could look through that and hope clear my name. Um, but in terms of the collateral damages, this being part of it, there's not really any type of way. There's no going back from this.
For your whole family too. I mean, your mom has had to go through this too. As a family, how has this made you guys feel collectively together to kind of be in this public shock, this public scrutiny?
It all just seems like a nightmare. I mean, it doesn't seem real, and it's just been we're all just it's been it's just been a nightmare. Um, I know my mom, she has like problem with stress, and like she was doing good before this. After this, she's been a lot more stressed. Um it's been hard. I'll let her speak to how it's affected her, but I mean, in terms of collectively as a family, it's been a nightmare.
What's your message for Nancy Guthrie's family?
I I mean, I like everyone else. I want to see her come home. I want the actual suspect to be found. Um, I think it's really unfair to them to give them false hope by going off whatever they went off to have this huge investigation and raid happen. To me, it's like giving them false hope that they had a suspect and then it was nothing. And I'm not the first person either, so I think it's wrong in that sense.
This is your first interview since you've been detained. What's your hope in putting your voice out there now that people will get from this interview?
I mean, for my personal interest, I would just say just not to go off speculation of everything you hear on the internet and kind of like the hive mind mentality that someone says something and then they just go off of it based on no evidence and no truth. Um, but I mean, in terms of like moving forward, I just want to be cleared, have actual verification that I was cleared by the FBI and sheriff, whoever else.
Have they officially cleared you?
I don't date. This is just going off what I've heard, but I guess um, I've been cleared, but they don't close any case, I guess, because it's still ongoing. But I mean, I know personally, there's nothing else that they're gonna come across that points towards me. So
Unequivocally, you are not the person, you are not involved.
absolutely, 100%.
Is there anything else you want to clear up that people may have said, that you've seen, that you feel that you have the opportunity now to address?
Nothing particular is coming to mind right now. Obviously, I'm nervous. This is, like I said, my first interview, and I mean, I'm not trying to get any more attention from this. I just want to put it out there for me that I had nothing to do with this, and I'm hoping that the truth will come out, whatever that may be. I have no idea.
I appreciate your time. Chris, do you have anything that you want Luke to address or add? Luke, is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you want to address or talk about while you're here? Just want to make sure that you get your opportunity to say anything you want to.
Um, I just want to say again that I hope that she's safe. I hope they find her, and I just want to move on with my life and not have any. I mean, it's been hard. Like I can't go anywhere. Everyone gives me dirty looks, and they see me in my car. Like I would assume that like I don't know. People are just think I'm like this person, and it's been hard. Like leaving, going anywhere, doing anything. So I'd like to be able to go about my life and not have this shadow of doubt casted over me.
Could you even imagine, like, being completely
Hey
innocent
guys,
of
thanks so much
something
for checking out my show. I really
and then, like, I can't imagine. And yeah, Sailor, he did seem nervous, but I would be too. I would be very nervous, honestly. It's not, it's, doesn't look like a really great feeling. So we've also got one of his mom, and this poor woman, like, honestly, totally blindsided by the whole thing, right? Like SWAT team bursts in, breaks down her door, and no idea. Like I don't understand why they would use the SWAT team to follow up on a tip. It seems a little bit overboard to me. What do you think, um, Melissa?
There's a lot to unpack with that video. So it's really sad to me that people are being drug into this, like he said, with the lady he was arrested with, and saying that that was his girlfriend, that don't have anything to do with this. Um, and he did seem nervous, but at the same time, he kept eye contact for the most part. I mean, he was good about that. He seemed more stunned than anything. I thought he was being truthful. His body language seemed truthful. He wasn't showing contempt in his face, with only one side of his face. His breathing was essentially normal. It wasn't labored. It wasn't increased. His blink rate was slow. So, I mean, his body language to me seemed as if he was being truthful. And it's sad that this is a lifelong, even you could say generational long thing, because no matter what happens in his life here on out, if you Google his name, it's going to pop up with this investigation, sadly. The one thing he said that made me go, huh, was when he said there was a white substance that they used for testing. Well, when they use fingerprint powder, isn't that black? Like, what was white? That's the one thing I was like, huh, I wonder what that is, because like I said, I thought fingerprint powder was dark, so I'm not sure what white
It
substance.
depends on the surface, right? Like when I was in college, the fingerprint powder that we used was white. Oh, it was like it was like almost like a gray, but it was very, very, very fine, but it was definitely a light color. But again, I think it depends on the surface that they're like, not the color of the surface, but the actual texture of the surface. They're different types of fingerprint dust. So, um, yeah, what were we? I can't remember what we were fingerprinting. I think we were fingerprinting metal and um metal, wood, can't remember, but metal for sure and wood for sure. And that dust was more white. Like I said, it was awful. It was like a really, really light gray, but it was definitely lighter color. Um, just one second, we can continue. It's just from being on camera. I think because his entire life has been uprooted, kind of like his reputation is smeared. If everywhere you go, people are side-eyeing you and giving you dirty looks and stuff, and you realize that now your name is forever going to be connected to this, I would be nervous too. I don't like the way they detain people in the US. I don't understand it either. Reputation, yeah. I hope so. It's good to have hope. People get falsely convicted. Who is he? This is Luke Daly. He's the owner of that Range Rover where they had the sheet when they were searching the vehicle, and they had that sheet up so that people couldn't see in the back of the SUV. This is that man. We'll watch her just in a minute. The FBI make the RCMP look like pussycats. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Sorry, Melissa. Continue with your thoughts, please.
Well, I really don't have, really anything more to say. I mean, for me, watching him, I got the feeling that he was being truthful. I was looking for an increased blink rate, or, the gulps, or one side of his face moving, whereas the other one didn't, which would show contempt. And I just didn't see it. And he was keeping, pretty much eye contact. So everything I seen said that to me, and in my opinion, he was truthful. But he said that people were comparing him to the footage, but I don't think he looks, and this is just my opinion, you guys might disagree, but I don't think he looks anything like the guy on the porch. He seems like he's fuller in the face than that person. The facial um, shape just doesn't seem right. I, I got the feeling he's being truthful. I don't think he's got anything to do with it.
No, me either. And yeah, you're right. Like his face is definitely rounder than the fellow with the balaclava on. So this is Luke Daly's mother. So remember, she was sitting in her home and the SWAT team broke down her door. So let's have a listen to what she has to say.
You were Nancy Guthrie's neighbor, pretty close by.
I didn't realize that.
You didn't know that.
No.
So did you not know
I
Nancy?
knew it after everything happened. But otherwise, who'd heard of her?
You
Who'd
hadn't
heard
met
of
her.
No.
Okay. Okay. So you hear that she is abducted. She goes missing. And I assume your first thought when you hear this is, oh my gosh, somebody, I mean, this is crazy and it's nearby. Were you following the story, following the case?
Totally. At that point, to see if they could ever find her, you know. And, Savannah grew up in Arizona and, her family, and we watch her on TV. So it's sort of like, she comes into our living room and tells us what's going on. So it's very emotional for me. I mean, I'm old and I'm not used to this kind of stuff at all, but I have a lot of empathy and pray. I don't have a lot of hope but that the family continues on and it's, huge loss for all of us, actually.
Oh, it completely affects the community, a community you're part of. So when you first start hearing about it, I imagine there's a lot of upset and fear, concern.
Yes, yes. And they were searching, I live on this street, and then they were searching a street a little closer and a little farther out, excuse me. And, it's just weird to have these people and people standing in front of my house wanting to talk, mostly news people wanting to.
Yeah, I mean, the media
I
don't.
didn't talk to those people at all. We just,
So tell me what happened when this all ends up at your home. Your home ends up becoming part of this story.
Yeah, well, people were coming to the door and I wasn't necessarily answering it. They might not have even had a camera or anything. And then this one, late afternoon when they came in the big SWAT vehicles, pulled into my driveway and said they wanted to see anything that could link anything. I said, well, yeah, go ahead. I mean, so they were there for about 6 hours. And I was in the SWAT vehicle and they went through my house and went through everything and tore everything, if a door was locked, they would break it open to go see what was in there. There really wasn't anything in there, but it was pretty upsetting.
Well, and it's one thing to come to you and say, do you have any video or anything like that? It's another to detain you and search your house with a search warrant. Did they tell you why?
Um, I guess I assumed, because I lived close by or something, but um, I just said I'd do anything if we could find some clues that might help, but I don't think there's going to be anything in here, but um, go ahead and look. I mean, I didn't say you can't look. I didn't even think. It was kind of, late in the day. I'm so sorry. I'll turn that off. I get a lot of phone calls now, a lot of messages from people. How are you doing, Mary? So, yeah, and then I just decided I was much better off going to Phoenix to be with Matt and the grandkids and his wife and everything.
So when they detained you, did you know that this was related to also them investigating Luke?
No,
You had no idea.
no, I wasn't thinking this was about Luke. I found out it was also about Luke, but initially, no, I was thinking it was all about Nancy Guthrie finding her and whatnot. So, because I was thinking, I don't even think Luke probably ever watched the news and even saw Savannah on the news. I mean, I did.
Right. So when did you learn that, your detainment was related to Luke's detainment in this case?
When I'm not exactly sure when, because honestly, during this time, I was really emotional and there were lots of information coming in and so I don't remember exactly the time, but I know that in retrospect, I know all this stuff that it did, but initially I didn't think of it being Luke as part of this because I knew it wasn't something that Luke would be involved in any way, and he wasn't. So, yeah.
And when you learned that, was there any thought could he have been involved?
No, I didn't think he ever could have been involved. Not at all. No.
So you and Luke were not involved in anything in this case.
Right, except seeing it on TV and acting and some of the consequences of, you know, we want to search this. And I'm like, okay, if it helps find, because this was early on when we thought differently about.
Did they take anything specific from your home?
Did they take anything? Hmm. I can't think of anything they took. Um, you know, I can't think of anything.
And did they eventually,
Might think of something later. I
That's
hate to say
fine.
it, but
yeah,
you know,
did they eventually tell you that they were searching your home in relation to this case? Or did you this whole time think they're just looking to see if I have any surveillance video or anything like that? Like, where did that shift happen?
They didn't give me a lot of information, but I just assumed, and I said, well, if it's not, like I said, if it's not something that might help us find her, then go for it. If you think there's anything in here, but I don't think there is. So, yeah.
Did you ever suspect that Luke might know who was involved?
No,
Not at all.
no.
So you guys were basically both detained for hours. You were questioned, your property gone through, and then released, but with not a lot of explanation as to why.
Well, I guess they just said they could do, I didn't want to stop if it might be helpful. But I had no idea I thought they'd maybe come in and look around for an hour or something, poke around and, but yeah.
So you have not been back at your home staying there since this.
I just got back.
What's that like?
It's really good to be back here. I was up in Phoenix with my kids and grandkids, which is wonderful, but, you know, we built our home and lived there a long time and Matt's grown up in it, Luke's grown up in it. They're, you know, so it's home. So I love being there. I'm glad to be back and it's nice to know that Luke's there and, uh, with me.
I mean, in the days since you guys were detained, it's not been an easy road for any of you, Luke especially. I mean, people still believe he is the person on the video camera. They still believe he's the person who abducted Nancy Guthrie. His face is out there, his name, your name has been out there. How, as a family, have you emotionally dealt with that, even though you've been released?
Well, things will just pop up and I'll just feel a lot more like even sitting here talking about it. It is very emotional. And part of me just wants to say goodbye to all this chapter. So hopefully this interview will help kind of have some closure for me and for everybody else who's felt the impact, because this has been huge impact, not just here. I mean, all the family from Rhode Island called right away and said, wow, look what's happening. I mean, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't really do Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff. I'm not the right demographic. I don't spend my time doing that,
But Luke's on it. I mean, he is younger and that is
Yeah,
part of him, and people had to
that's-
see his face out there.
that's really a shame, I think, but I was shocked about all of that. That was an education for me. in terms of a way of communicating and things people like to do, like younger people, not older people like me.
Yeah. What do you say to people who have also brought up Luke's past and kind of associated, oh, well, he's had a past with criminal activity, therefore this could be a part of this. What do you say to those people?
But I don't know, they don't really ask me that. My friends, I mean, I have a really good group of friends here in Tucson, and I mean, they never really questioned me about that stuff. And if they thought they thought it, they didn't, come up and say, well, could he have done this and that? They didn't, probably out of respect. Sure. Because they don't know, and I didn't know what all was going on sometimes, but I knew this wasn't, I mean, Luke's had other issues, but this is not the kind of thing that he had a problem with. And he's doing well now, and we're all kind of in the recovery mode, if you know what I mean, trying to get our lives back and get back to normal again and all that stuff.
For your family, it's been tough. For the Guthrie family, it's been tough. I mean, what is your thought process trying to relate to the Guthries themselves going through this, but in the most awful way, in that they've lost Nancy and there's still no answers?
Really, mostly I pray. Yeah.
And they've asked for prayers.
They've asked for prayers, and sometimes I can listen to Savannah's, she comes on and talks often. You guys all know that probably. And I've watched a little bit, but I can't watch too much because it just makes me want to cry. It's just so sad. And the longer it goes on, then the more hope is lost.
For you guys in this neighborhood, this is it's a very tight knit. It's a beautiful neighborhood. It's quiet. It's quaint. To have this kind of onslaught, the media spectacle, and then to become where you are, does that change your perception of how safe home feels?
Well, I feel safe in my home now. I didn't for a while. That's why I went to Phoenix. I have wonderful neighbors that live right next door, and we're in this little cul-de-sac together. And that's where the SWAT team came up the cul-de-sac and stuff. But I mean, I stayed with them some of the time. A couple nights I stayed over at David and Margaret's house because I was uncomfortable, you know. So yeah, I just never thought in my life I mean, who would imagine something like this? It was so much sadness, and I want to say global, but certainly our whole country, but it goes farther than that, probably. I mean, the way media is today, I mean, I grew up in a different era, as you know. So it's amazing how things spread. So
What do you want to say to the Guthrie family, especially for you and your son, if there was any possibility they still believed you guys could be involved? What do you want to say to the Guthries?
Savannah, I am just very, very sad and sorry about Nancy. And I pray for you and your family that you heal, that you can go back to your normal place of life and resume and build with your family and your children and your husband. But I know it's going to be a challenge, but I'm going to keep praying. Mm-hmm.
And you want them to know no involvement from you and Luke.
No involvement from Luke and I, no.
Luke is your son?
Yes.
Again, seems honest to me, and genuine, and just kind of almost like shell shocked for social media and how quickly things spread, and how I don't even think she realizes how much her son's life could continue to be impacted just because of social media. What are your thoughts on Luke's mom, Mary?
I agree. I felt like she was extremely genuine and honest. she doesn't seem like she cared for the media being outside of her house, though, because of the way she kind of, like, yeah, they were out there with their cameras, she didn't seem like she liked that too well, but she kind of even chuckled at one point at even the mere thought that her son was involved. She was trying to be helpful and agreeing to let him search. It's sad that she felt uncomfortable in her home for any period of time. Um, with she like she said, she's from a different era, and I'm sure she is shell shocked um, at how fast this blew up. And I I agree. I don't think she understands how impactful this is going to be um, going forward. But everybody has a past, and I have a past, you have a past. And so to judge somebody on their past and say, well, you did X, Y, and Z, so you must be the culprit here is just um, sad and ridiculous. People can change, and we should not be judged um, on the for something that we did on, one of the worst days of our lives. It just seems extremely unfair, but I agree. She felt genuine and was being truthful.
Yeah, um, absolutely. Now I'm looking for any kind of updates to share with you guys, and there just aren't any. Like I don't know what to tell you. Let's check X. We'll we'll go through Brian Enton's mm, um Twitter, and it's super sad to me that there's just no it seems like there's no movement in the case. It's sad to me. So here we are an hour ago, um, day 30 in the search for Nancy Guthrie, latest from Arizona here. So Brian had posted a longer form video. I think it's like 35 minutes long. Um, so that's what this link is, and they're just basically showing the family at the memorial site again. And then talking about it with his experts. So definitely feel free to go over and check out Brian Enton, but like we can see that JLR, I think he was live, but nobody else, you guys, like, oh, look at that. Looks like JLR quit quit for the day. Maybe. You can only stream for like 12 hours apparently, so seemed to me that might have ended it. Let's have a look at my subscriptions. We're the only ones live right now, guys. So it's sad to see that things are quietening down quite a bit. Sad to see. So if you haven't already done so, please click on the link in the pinned comment and go give our guest a sub. Um, oh, look, I see Sunny's going live in about an hour, so that's nice. And other than that, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to keep just talking to talk. Do you know what I mean? There's not a whole lot of engagement in the chat for us to talk about stuff. Facial features look the same. Criminal history sounds like profiling to me. Um, I don't think facial features are the same, but criminal history, I mean, past behavior is the best indicator of future behavior, but that doesn't necessarily, you know, and one day we'll get to see the evidence that led them to these people, Carlos and Luke. But I don't think anything like that is going to come out because the more they do shit like that, I think the more they're impacting their ability to successfully prosecute anybody. You know, because they actually send the SWAT team out. It blows my mind. They need to positive before showing people who's, yeah, I agree, because they're ruining lives, actively ruining lives. If these people have no involvement and they're completely innocent, their names are going to be attached to this. No one even knows if that's a woman or a man in the mask at the door. I mean, I'm pretty certain it's a man. That's just my opinion. Meeting at Nancy's house, 7 a.m. search. Excellent. That would be JLR, Mark the Shark, Dad's Gone Live, all those. Can you show Mask Guy again walking up one more time? Sure. Let's see. I could probably just go to my channel because I do happen to have that video handy. Somewhere. Right here. Right here. Alright. Ready? I'm not going to play the sound. Let me just get rid of the comments. You guys can see it. Let me know if you want me to slow it down. Anything like that. Oh, how embarrassing. Anyways. Anyways. I don't see, I see very feminine eyes, but I don't see a woman. Um, there, there is a better video. Thoughts, Melissa, while I search for the longer form video?
I mean, I agree. I don't think we can say it's male or female, but I think it's a man. I I just don't know. I mean, they're just like you said, they're actively running people's lives by saying, well, it was this person, and Carlos, and Luke, and these people are forever now linked to this case. And if they are innocent, then you've essentially ruined their life for what? Um,
That's just what I mean, like ruining their life to follow up on a lead, like the SWAT team, it feels like a bit much.
I have it if you go to my page, one of the videos.
Sorry, like your YouTube?
Yeah. It's like 27 seconds long. I think it's what you just showed as well, but I can also pull
Mine's
up
like
the one that I
the only
recorded as well.
you believe it's Tommaso, Susan? I mean, there is an argument to be made because when he was walking up today, he did seem a little bit bow-legged. But this fella here, he seems to have a little bit of he seems to be favoring one side in his gait, and Tommaso didn't. So, but Tommaso did to me look to be a little bit bow-legged. I'm just gonna search it. Why isn't this working? What is going on? Nancy Guthrie. Video. I want the whole thing. The whole thing. Let's look at USA Today. Mm, that's a full episode. Okay, USA Today it is. Maybe this one instead. Looks like they probably play it over and over and over again. I'm gonna make it big. Just because I don't like, I don't know. See what I mean? He definitely is bow-legged, but he seems to be favoring one side, but that could be to, disguise his regular gait. But to me, Susan, Tommaso's facial hair is really gray and bushy. And this fella, I don't know that I see bushy. Let me pause it at the right time if I could. See, I don't see a whole lot of bush in there, but I kind of see what looks almost like a handlebar mustache in there. Looking meds off a step, stealing meds off a step. I don't. Oh, okay. That video. To me, he was too thin. That man was way thin. So Deanna says if anybody in Arizona or Tucson wants to join the search tomorrow, meet at 7 a.m. Everybody is welcome to go. Is this what you wanted to see, Lynn? I don't believe this is some lone wolf. I believe this is very calculated, organized, and professional. Whoever this guy is, there's a good chance he isn't alive either. Wow. Yeah. You're not thinking cartel, are you? So go ahead, Melissa. I gotta sneeze.
Um, I have to disagree with spare time on that one. I don't think that this was professional. I mean, I'll give you calculated. I'll give you organized, but I can't agree with professional. I don't think that this was professional. It just doesn't seem professional to me anyway.
So, do you remember today the video that we watched of Tommaso, Annie, and Savannah walking the memorial? Tommaso had on Adidas. This is the still shot of what people suspect to be a different day. And it looks to me like he's got some kind of markings on the sides of these runners. And it looks like Adidas to me. Am I wrong? Do you see that, Melissa? Do you see that?
I don't. But
You don't.
no. I mean, maybe if I sit here and blow it up and study it, maybe, but just to be sitting here right now looking at it now.
I think you need to blow it up and study it because those are definitely not these shoes in the moving video. Those are different shoes. These ones, I don't even know what they're called, and I can't stand them, like the women's shoes that have the flat toe like this. But these are definitely not those shoes in that still pic.
I agree with that. And he doesn't have a gun in that still pic either, so or a backpack.
So safe to say completely different day, if not completely different dude. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, you guys. Let's pause this and we'll watch that again. His walk. You guys see that? Should I make it bigger? Let's make it bigger.
Pay
His
attention
walk.
to
Go ahead.
the distance, like between his legs. I don't know how to, the guy in the surveillance video, there's a bigger gap, in my opinion, than what Tommaso has here. And I also kind of feel like maybe Tommaso's a little taller than that person. And I agree. I don't see the fluffiness under the ski mask, but
Okay, let's just watch. Oh, I do have the volume on. Pay attention to the way he stands and the way he walks. It's not the same. The shoes are suspicious. I'm not gonna lie.
well, I mean, even if the shoes, were an identical match, how many people buy the same style of shoes as somebody else? So, I mean, if you're in that area and that's a popular shoe, how many people have that shoe?
And while we're at it, let's pay attention to Annie's gait because there are people out there who actually think it could be Annie on that surveillance on that ring cam. So I don't know, guys. I don't think it's either one of them.
I agree. I don't think it's either one. I mean, if you look at the way their legs are a lot closer together than the person in the video, in my opinion.
Yeah, that ain't the same. That ain't the same walk or gait on either one of them. Annie is thicker for sure.
And when they bend down, you notice Annie bends at the knees and they kind of separate. She doesn't put one leg back and bend. And neither did Tommaso when he bent down. He didn't bend in the same way as the person in the video either. And there's things like that typically you're going to do it the same way every time.
Okay, yes, and if you look at his hand, like he's got two rings on that finger. And I believe, is that not the same hand he uses to put up? And I realize he's got a couple pairs of gloves, but let's just look and see if we can see anything under his glove. Kind of looks like a ring there. Oh, now we're fishing. Kind of looks like a ring, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. This guy's got a wider gait, you guys. Hmm. Like, I don't know how sophisticated that whole obscuring the camera scheme is with some weeds or whatever. Seems pretty amateur. Looks bald underneath the mask, but the beard does not look bushy enough to be Tommaso. Let's see if we can pause it at the right spot. You can actually kind of make out facial structure at the very least. Like it doesn't, to me, look like a bushy beard underneath. No, I don't know, maybe. What do you think? What do you think? Double chin?
I mean, I don't think it's a beard. I really don't. I don't think it's Tommaso or Annie. At least this person in this video. I'm not saying altogether, but at least in this video, I don't see it being Tommaso or Annie. You're probably going to convince me it's Luke before you convince me that's Tommaso or Annie at this point.
And Sailor raises a good point. Whoever the perp is in this video has had a month to work on disguising their gait at this point. But she still doesn't think it's Annie or Tommaso. Yeah, like, I don't know for you, but I know, like, for my boyfriend, it takes him a lot longer to grow in a beard, like, as thick as Tommaso's. I don't know. You see the doormat not taken. Yeah, I know. And I think there could have been DNA on that mat just because of the the blood pattern looked like very close to the ground, and there was like a can't remember how Joseph Morgan explained it, but like a sneeze or a cough or something. There was like a spray. So I think that there could have been DNA on that mat, and it's still there to this day. Still has not been taken. He's definitely not a pro, but those shoes are different than those shoes. And yeah, that's a good picture right there. Oh, Pete's sake, of course. See that? You can see the facial structure. That doesn't, to me, look like a puffy beard.
No, I mean, you can see the jawline.
Right. And yeah, yeah. I'm convinced it's neither one of these two. I am 100% convinced that that man on the porch is not Annie or Tommaso. Let's vote. 1 in the chat if you think it's possible, 2 in the chat if you've ruled it out like I have.
One, I'm with you. To me, it's not Annie or Tommaso.
Ruled out completely. Oh, Kelly and Susan, really?
So 1 was ruled out completely and 2 was not, or 2 was ruled out and completely and 1 was not. Because I think Annie and Tommaso, in my opinion, are ruled out completely.
I thought I said, number one, you still think it's possible. Number two, you ruled it out like I have.
In that case, too.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not Tommaso's band members. I'm not saying that's not possible. It is totally possible. Somebody who knows that house potentially knows the family, but definitely, in my opinion, has been there before the first, how like we've heard now that they're saying that those two, the still shots that the FBI released and the video were on different days, or sources are saying whatever. I think somebody before that had been there, my opinion, to be able to go, well, mind you, she had very strong hearing aids. So my thought is if somebody breaks in, you're going to hear them. But she had very strong
Would
hearing
she?
aids, and if she was sleeping, she didn't. Probably didn't. A cop or an ex-cop? Maybe. Maybe. Carla has ruled out the family, but you believe the perpetrator is somebody different. Yeah, I agree. I agree. This just solidified it for me. What do you think about a Savannah stalker? I think that if there is a motive that's not, how do you want to say it? Like if she wasn't, if Nancy wasn't targeted by for sick and twisted reasons, not saying that it wouldn't be sick and twisted anyways, I think that Savannah would have been the motive for whatever reason. I think. I think.
I would be curious to know. They made mention of Annie's book. Now, I've not read it, but are there any similarities in her book compared to what happened? I mean, I don't know. I just now I'm like you. I've not ruled out somebody close to Annie or Tommaso, but I have ruled out Annie and Tommaso in this one.
Sorry, I just did a quick search because I didn't hear anything about her book having anything related to kidnapping or ransom or anything like that. But Savannah's did. They had that childhood game where they would be kidnapped to go to their cousin's house or their aunt's house or whatever, and it was just kind of almost like a tradition. Um, so that's a little bit odd, but I think we can all agree that Savannah's not involved in this. Um, I do wonder where Cameron is at this point. Like, did he have to go back to work? Um, I don't know. I think it was wrong house. They were after the gems and Nancy woke up. Which one? Nancy seemed to be closer to Savannah than Annie, and there's a lot of tension among the family members. It is interesting that the house sales, like being listed, um, right before Annie and Tommaso bought their house, but I had heard that Savannah helped them buy that house. Apparently, Nancy's hearing aids, cell phone, and smartwatch was on her bedside dresser. And in my opinion, only I believe the perpetrator isn't Caucasian. I believe they're Mexican of some sort. Sorry, I'm not trying to be racist. No, I agree. I totally agree with you. Shameen and Melissa, I have a video from a assuming new podcaster come up with an amazing video today. regarding Nancy Guthrie. Can I send it to you, ladies? Yeah, you can send it and we'll watch it, but we're already at the 2-hour mark. Do you have our email? I guess I can get rid of that. Where's my ticker? Where's my regular ticker? It's here somewhere. Right here. There's my email address. truecrimestorypod@gmail.com. Feel free to email me. If I get it in the next few minutes, I will happily show it for you. As long as it's not offensive or, accusing anybody of anything specific. We are all ears. I am opening my email.
Can you rewind this video just a little bit?
Where do you want to see?
Okay, I want to
It's
watch it from here.
yeah, it keeps playing over and over again.
It looks like Tommaso brushes up against Savannah's butt with his hand. Here in a minute. Okay, it was just the angle. I was like, did he just grab her butt?
Oh, it looked like he was being very careful.
We have, Carla. We talked about that the other day. Somewhat. I mean,
Yeah, wasn't that yesterday? I'm gonna do at least once a week Epstein. We went through it. I showed everybody the Jmail and the J drive. We kind of plugged through most of that stuff. Obviously not the files. We'll start plugging away at that, but we're working on it. Do they have the tunnels across the border in that part of Arizona? I'm not sure. That would be a question we can ask the searchers tomorrow. Maybe I'm wrong, but was lights back of Nancy home broke and Tommaso would have seen that if he took Nancy home that night? I don't think that they're allowed to have street lights or anything on because of the ordinance, right? I think. How come no one is talking about Savannah Guthrie's television interview with 6 of Jeffrey Epstein's victims? We can look into that as like a segue the next time, because usually when I do an Epstein live, it's got Nancy Guthrie updates as well. So maybe the next Epstein live will transition into Nancy by showing that Savannah Guthrie interview, just so I can have time to find it, In my opinion, and only my opinion, I believe this isn't a personal attack on Savannah Guthrie due to the Epstein files. I get it. Look at the Tucson connections next. It's about her husband. Okay. The house lights are on in the background. Who is up at 1 a.m.? Sometimes me, not voluntarily, for sure. Did you email me? Not seeing anything. Melissa, do you have anything that you want to share? And I'll look for
no,
something
not
else.
really.
Just trying my best to find some kind of update, anything at all, just to, but there's just, you guys, there's just nothing. Nothing of value, I should say. It's not like there's nothing, but we can watch the same stuff over and over and over again. The one thing that was interesting was this bad boy. Where does it start? right about there. Going to slow this right down. Have you seen this yet, Melissa? The car?
Yeah, I watched this before I left, and I tell you what I did. I slowed it down as slow as I possibly could. And I mean, it still goes by fast even doing that. But I mean, I don't see how they can rule this out. It's too close to the timeline, in my opinion, to be able to say, oh, it's of no use unless they have specifically talked to whoever was driving.
Thanks for being here, Belinda. Have a good night. I agree. Like how can they rule it out unless they found the car, they found the driver? How can they rule it out? There's no way. There's no way to rule it out. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Could Nancy be in this vehicle right there? On the way to? I don't know, man. And
And
leaving.
I
Hey,
definitely,
wait. Can you see somebody in there?
yes.
See if I can catch that again. You definitely see an arm. Dag nabbit. Definitely see somebody there. Interesting. Interesting. Why are they so tight together walking, especially Savannah? It's just strange. Was she forced to walk that close and only one who separates is Tommaso? I don't, I did notice that, but I think it's more about unity, maybe support. Mm. I think this crime was committed about money, most likely a murder for hire case, and I think the people connected, maybe 2 or 3 people, will know the family very close. Dominic Evans, revealing crime is the name. There was likely only one. Hmm. Well, Carla, we can show that video next time. I'm exhausted. We did a 2.5-hour live for Lily and Jack earlier. And now we've been here for a couple hours, worked all morning, a little tired. I'm ready to go. And what do you have anything else you'd like to say, Melissa, about this?
So something I noticed with the car video is when it was going the opposite direction. So when it was headed towards Nancy's house, it seemed to be going at a slower rate of speed. Whereas when it was leaving, to me, it seemed like it was going a bit faster. But maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know.
No, I definitely noticed that too. But again, like this is not like we're not watching it. We're watching, well, I've got it slowed down, but we don't know what the FBI or the sheriff's department has done to this video before releasing it, right? Or I guess they didn't release it, did they? They didn't release it, did they? So maybe that's wrong. And being in Canada, we go by kilometers. So when I first heard 2.5 miles away, whatever, and then it took them 7 minutes or 8 minutes to travel that 2.5. I was like, wait a minute. Even in a residential area, that doesn't seem right. But miles, maybe. And somebody said, well, he must have been, that's not very long. He must have been hauling ass. I'm like, yeah, exactly. Why was he driving so fast at that time of night? Is it because they had an 84-year-old lady in their vehicle? Anything's possible. So we're going to keep our eye on this and see if there's any updates coming up, and we will definitely do more coverage. There's search going on tomorrow. Tune in to Mark the Shark or JLR. Dad's Gone Live. And if you're in Arizona and you want to help out, just go show up at Nancy's. And other than that, if there's nothing else, Melissa, I'm going to go ahead and end it.
Nope. Let's go ahead and end it.
Sounds good. Captured Andy, I hope you come back next time and share those thoughts and opinions when we're covering Epstein. And we'll look at Savannah's interview of the Epstein victims, and maybe we'll find a connection. Everybody, have a terrific night. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, thanks, Melissa, for joining. Take care, everybody. Bye.